Recording started.
Good. Welcome everyone to the organizational meeting of the North Central City School Board of Education. Today's Tuesday, January 12th. I did this last time too, except I think I threw us back into December last time I did this. January 7th, 2025. If you would please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby. Here. Mr. Haynes. Here. Mrs. McCarthy.
Here.
Mrs. Saxon.
Here.
Mr. Vaca. Here.
At this time, I will take nominations for the position of president.
I'd like to nominate Mr. Frank Vaca
Okay.
for the position of president. Board of Education.
I would like to nominate Mr. Frank Vaca.
All right, Mr. Baca, you've been nominated twice. Any other nominations? I would like, I'm gonna move that the nominations be closed. Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes.
And roll call, please.
Is there a motion?
Well, just voting for the office of president as follows. Mr. Grigsby votes for
Mr. Frank Vaca.
Mr. Haynes,
Mr. Frank Vaca.
McCarthy, Mr. Vaca, Saxon, Vaca, Mr. Vaca.
Abstain.
So Mr. Vaca is elected president.
Mr. Vaca is elected president of the Board of Education for the 2025 year and assumes all the duties of the office.
Moved.
Second. Moved by Mr. Grigsby, second by Mr. Haynes. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Abstain.
Mr. Vaca, you will now be, I don't know, anointed. We have the swearing in. Miss.
Um,
Do the vice
Yeah, let's do
president.
vice president and then we'll do the.
Oh, you want to do, okay, that's fine. We usually swear the president first and then we vote for the vice president, then we swear the vice president.
Well, you can finish and then we'll both be sworn in.
Very good. At this time, I would like to take nominations for the position of vice president.
I'd like to nominate Ms. McCarthy.
Are there any other nominations?
Nominate Ms.
Thank you. Any other nominations? Can I have a motion to close the nominations, please?
I move to close the nominations.
Thank you, Ms. Saxon. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes.
Voting for the office of vice president as follows. Mr. Grigsby,
Mrs. Kelly McCarthy.
Mr. Haynes,
Mrs. Kelly McCarthy.
Ms. Saxon, Mrs. McCarthy, Mr. Vaca,
Mrs. McCarthy.
McCarthy, I abstain. Kelly McCarthy is elected as vice president of the Board of Education for 2025 and assumes the duties of the office. Can I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Mr. Haynes. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mrs. McCarthy.
Abstain.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes.
Now administer the oath of office. Instead of us only two people.
Many yards still.
Well, we could.
Right.
You've now been knighted.
Raise your right hand and read the following oath.
I, Frank Baca, do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as President of the Board of Education of North Plainville City School District, Lorraine County, Ohio, to the best of my ability, and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted, to earn my continuance in said office until my successor is elected and qualified.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Perfect.
Please raise your right hand and read the oath of office.
Thank you. I, Kelly McCarthy, do hereby solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Ohio, and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge my duties as Vice President of the Board of Education of North Ridgeville City School District, Lorraine County, Ohio, and to the best of my ability and in accordance with the laws now in effect and hereafter to be enacted during my continuance in said office and until my successor is elected and qualified.
Thank you.
Mr. Vaca, I will now turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you. Can I have a motion to approve the board members as liaisons, please?
Move.
Second. Moved by Mr. Saxon, second by Mr. Haynes. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Have a resolution that establishes. Yes, I did.
Oh, I
Yes.
didn't hear you.
Yes. A resolution to establish a 2025 Board of Education meeting dates. Do I have a motion?
Move.
Second. Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Mr. Haynes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Resolution to establish the order of business. A motion?
Move.
Second. Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Mr. Haynes. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. We have a resolution to authorize the treasurer, CFO to secure advances from the auditor for funds lawfully due to the school district.
Move. Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Ms. McCarthy. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. We have a resolution to authorize the transfer of funds.
Move.
Moved by Mr. Grigsby, second by Ms. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. We have a resolution to approve standing authorizations. I have a motion.
Move.
Moved by Ms. Saxon,
Second.
second by Mr. Grigsby. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Resolution to appoint legal counsel.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Ms. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. We have a resolution to approve Board of Education memberships. I have a motion.
Move.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Mr. Grigsby. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy.
I'm sorry, hold on a second. Yes.
And Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Resolution to appoint purchasing agent authority.
Moved. Second.
Moved by Ms. McCarthy, second by Ms. Saxon. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Resolution to appoint a public records officer.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Ms. McCarthy. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Resolution to appoint a suspension hearing officer.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Grigsby, second by Ms. Saxon. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. Governance policy change. Do I have a motion?
Moved.
Second.
Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Mr. Grigsby. Is there any discussion? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon.
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes. It is recommended that the Board of Education adjourn this meeting.
Moved.
Second. Moved by Ms. Saxon, second by Mr. Grigsby. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Saxon,
Yes.
Mr. Grigsby. Yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mrs. McCarthy,
Yes.
Mr. Vaca.
Yes.